The short story I'm going to read for you is not really fiction. It's actually something that happened to me when I was a student at the Pasadena Playhouse. However, even though most of the names in the story are real, I fictionalized the names of two of the main characters. There's a story connected with that, and you may not be interested, but I'll tell it anyway. The character whose name is Izzy Reingold is really me. As a Playhouse student, I used to joke with my classmates that after I graduated, I would change my name to Isidore Reingold, but they could call me Izzy. Why would I change my name? Well, back then in 1950s, I had the impression, and I wasn't alone, that Hollywood was more or less controlled by Jews. My name, Regenold, pronounced in German, Regenold, is very German. And I thought a Jewish person might possibly look unkindly towards someone with a name like that. My joke and the whole idea of changing my name is absurd, of course. In retrospect, we know that two famous actors of the past, Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis, both had very Jewish names at birth. Isur Danielovich Dembski and Bernard Schwartz. And they both changed their names to non-Jewish or Gentile names, just the opposite of what I joked about doing. The other fictional name is Mason Hilleman, who is the other student in this story, the one who is auditioning for the part in the movie at Warner Brothers. All the other names except Izzy's wife, Lily, are authentic. For example, Sally Baiano was head of casting at Warner Brothers, and Robert Rentz was the dean of students at the Playhouse. I'll read the short story now. It's called Sally's Office. Pasadena, California, 1959. Two male students are walking in the hallway toward the administrative offices of the Pasadena Playhouse College of Theater Arts. Both look to be in their 20s. "What's this about?" the blonde spoke first. "Do you know?" The taller one with dark hair answered. "Have no idea. Just said go to Mr. Rentz's office. We'll find out." The door with Robert Rentz, Dean of Students, printed on the glass was open. Rentz was sitting at his desk and spotted them. "Come in, please. Have a seat." They did, and after a slight pause, the dark-haired one spoke with a smile. "Are we in trouble?" Rentz chuckled. No, it's good news. I think you'll like it." He got up quickly and closed the door to his office. Returning to his desk, he sat against the edge of it directly in front of them. "It's an opportunity for you that few students ever have." Rentz was an articulate fellow, but it was evident he was trying to choose his words carefully. Warner Brothers is planning a movie based on a novel that came out last year. Its title is Parish. They're trying to get Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh to play the parents. I haven't read the book, so I can't tell you what it's about. They're looking for a young man to play the title role, their son. The head of casting for Warner's wants you to come to his office and perform a short scene from a play you were in recently. His name is Sale Baiano. A couple of weeks ago, you finished The Skin of Our Teeth. I saw it. And there's a confrontational scene near the end I think would be a good one to show him. You know the one I'm thinking of, don't you? They both said yes. Well, today's Friday, and he wants you to go there Tuesday at 10 a.m. and do the scene. Will you be able to get together and rehearse so you can do a decent job? The one with dark hair spoke instantly. We have to do it, sir. We'll do it. The other one joined him affirmatively. You know where the studio is? Rentz was trying to cover all the bases. Yes, sir. I've driven past it in Burbank. The dark-haired one again. I have a car, so I'll get us there. Rentz stood. Excellent. And Reingold, you play the father in this scene, and Hilleman plays your son. I'm sure you realize he's the one who's up for the part in the movie. He fits the description of the son that Mr. Baiano gave me. Without hesitation, Reingold responded. I understand, Mr. Rentz. I'll do my best to get the part for Mason. It'll be a great experience for me just to go there and do the scene. I'm happy about that, and that you thought of this scene with me in it. Rentz opened his office door. Okay, between now and then, if you need anything or have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. He gave the blonde student a slip of paper. This is his name. Both shook hands with him and left. Neither of the two had additional classes that day, so they decided to pick an empty classroom and start rehearsing right away. First by reading the scene aloud from the little Samuel French playbooks they still had in their lockers. Mason Hilleman had played Henry Antrobus, and Isidore Reingold had portrayed his father, George Antrobus, in the play that had won a Pulitzer Prize. Although it had been a while since they performed the play in one of the balcony theaters at the Playhouse, the chemistry of the scene quickly invaded their minds as they recited the dialogue. And knowing they would soon be acting it out in the office of the Warner Brothers casting director, squeezed some extra juice into their project. The thought of having Heber Hogan, the instructor who directed them in the play, help them by watching critically zip through their minds, but he was nitpicky and might change their conception of what they wanted. This way, they could please themselves, not him. The only one they really wanted to please was Sale Baiano, the Warner Brothers casting director. They broke up an hour and a half later and agreed to commit the words back to memory that night, so the next day they could start acting without the scripts. Everything went smoothly. By the end of the weekend, they had rehearsed 6 hours and actually felt the scene was better now than when they had performed it before an audience. Izzy, that's what the students called Isidore, lived with his wife in an efficiency apartment with a pull-down bed in a building next to the Safeway parking lot in South Pasadena. His wife, Lily, who was from Mexico, was a secretary at the Rolls-Royce dealer in Pasadena on Colorado Boulevard. Mason was single and lived in an apartment building with many other students about a block down the street from the Playhouse. The plan was to have the dress rehearsal late Monday afternoon without any onlookers. Neither had classes after 3 p.m., although both had rehearsals that night for the plays in which they were presently cast. Mason portrayed Ivan in The Brothers Karamazov, and Izzy was playing Merrick in the Kane Mutiny Court-Martial. They went through the dress rehearsal twice Monday afternoon and were satisfied. Izzy told Mason he'd pick him up Tuesday morning at 9. That would give them a full hour to reach Warner Brothers, get through the gate, park the car, and find Baiano's office. They sure as hell didn't want to be late. Instead of using the freeway, since they had plenty of time and the go-to-work traffic was over, Izzy drove through Eagle Rock and Glendale in the '57 Plymouth Fury he and his wife had been able to buy at wholesale from the dealer where she worked. Their '51 Chevy Coupe had been stolen from in front of the apartment building a few weeks ago, and her boss at the Rolls-Royce dealer gave her a good deal on this sporty white Plymouth with a gold stripe that someone had traded in for a Rolls-Royce. They pulled up to the Warner Brothers gate at 9:40 and identified themselves as the one who have an appointment with Mr. Baiano. A few minutes later, after parking the car, a gray-haired lady escorted them to Baiano's office. He was a cordial, outgoing type who put them at ease in a few seconds. After introducing themselves and shaking hands, Baiano looked at Izzy and spoke with a smile. "Isidore Reingold, am I pronouncing it correctly?" "Just call me Izzy, sir," gesticulating with his right hand. "That's what everybody calls me. I'll probably end up changing my name someday." All three laughed. Baiano sat behind his desk. "Okay, I'm ready when you are. Use the space there," indicating the area in front of his desk. "Act like you're on stage and I'm your audience." Izzy talked directly to Baiano. "This is near the end of the play, The Skin of Our Teeth. There's been a war. I'm the father, George Antropus, and he's my son, Henry. We haven't seen each other for a long time. The scene begins with my son talking to an imaginary character, as in a dream. Then he wakes up and sees me with a gun. He reaches for his gun and realizes he doesn't have it. That's how it starts." There's silence. Both students are taking some time to get into character, and Baiano knows this and appreciates it. The scene begins with Mason forcefully delivering his lines to the imaginary character. Then he awakens and sees his father with a gun. He draws for his gun and it isn't there. He obviously has animosity toward his father, tells him he doesn't have a mother or father and doesn't want any, wants to be alone in the world. He invites his father to kill him, to shoot him. The father tells his son he's the last person he wants to see, that he prefers war rather than trying to live with him. They throw heated words at each other. Then the father throws his gun down and offers the son to start over. The son rejects his offer, and tells his father he doesn't want anything related to his family, that he doesn't have a family. The father asks his son why he came there, reciting their street address. The son is adamant, saying that it's his business and he can do whatever he wants. His father hears the mother's voice coming from the kitchen and tells his son if she comes in that he must behave himself. The son goes into a wild tantrum, telling his father he wants his freedom, even if it means killing half the world. He then lunges at his father's throat. That's the end of the scene. Baiano smiled broadly and applauded. "All right, very good." He got up and walked toward them. "Well done, I'm glad you came. And if we can use you, I'll get in touch through Mr. Rentz. We're auditioning several other actors and we'll make a decision soon." He turned to Izzy. "You're very good, Izzy. Who's your agent?" Izzy didn't waste a second. "Thank you, Mr. Baiano. Coming from you, that's quite a compliment." Izzy looked directly into the casting director's eyes. "Look, I don't have an agent, but I want to go to work now. I'm married. I need a job. I can start working for you tomorrow morning. I'll be the hardest working, most conscientious actor in the history of Warner Brothers, and that includes Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney. I'm a character actor, not a leading man. I can play all kinds of characters using different accents, rednecks, well-educated attorneys. With makeup, I can play Mexicans or Italians. My wife's a Mexican. Mr. Rentz will tell you I'm versatile. You can help me get an agent. You probably know many of them. I won't disappoint you, sir. You'll never regret hiring me. Warner Brothers will be proud of me. And I'll change my name. Maybe you can help me come up with something good." Izzy stopped. There was no place else to go. He knew it, and so did Baiano. Baiano was also impressed. He'd never had an actor come on to him with so much enthusiasm, confidence, raw desire, and most importantly, vibrant personality. Acting, he knew, could be taught, but personality is God-given. Having discovered Lana Turner, Burt Lancaster, Debbie Reynolds, and others, he was somewhat of an expert on this. He extended his right hand to Izzy. "Be here at 9:30 tomorrow morning and we'll talk." They shook hands vigorously. "Based on what I know about you and have just seen, you're hired. We'll talk contract tomorrow." This is how it should have been, would have been, could have been, but not how it was. When Mr. Baiano asked for the name of Izzy's agent, Izzy was completely dumbfounded. In Izzy's mind, his only reason for being there in Baiano's office was to play his part well so that Mason could do a good job and have a chance to get the role. The thought of getting the attention of the casting director never entered Izzy's mind. Consequently, when that question about an agent was put to him, he simply told the truth, which was, "I don't have an agent yet. I still have another semester to go at the Playhouse. When I finish, I'll start looking for an agent. Thank you very much, sir." That reply would echo in Izzy Reingold's brain for the rest of his life. Instead of being hired by Sally Baiano and going on to win at least 2 Oscars, he ended up never having any role in any movie. and writing this short story when he was approaching his 88th birthday and concerned about making it to his next Social Security check. In retrospect, Dustin Hoffman was in the class ahead of Izzy at the Pasadena Playhouse, and Gene Hackman was a student there the year before that. Mako, the Japanese actor, was in Izzy's class, and none of them were above average students at the Playhouse. On the other hand, Izzy won the faculty scholarship there after his first year and graduated with honors, and would never forget that pivotal moment in his life with Sally Baiano. The movie Parish was made, but with Carl Malden and Claudette Colbert playing the stepfather and mother, and Troy Donahue playing the part that Mason tried for. That's the end of the short story, Sally's Office. It's one of 7 in the book. Hope you'll read the rest of my book and the other novels I've written. Thank you for listening.